What's up, everybody? As we said, we're finally here to start breaking down our weekly episodes of BMF, which is going to be premiering on Starz September 26th. A new episode each and following week. If you're new to the show, it's Nigerian Lucas, and we're here to give you our breakdowns and recaps of each of these episodes. And let me just give a little bit of background so you can kind of feel our style about how we approach these episodes. So we watch it one time, we jump on here, and we give our thoughts. So yes, we're going to make mistakes. No, we're not going to be perfect.
Not at all. Not at all. We're not even aiming to be perfect.
At all. So we encourage you all to definitely interact with us, jump in on the discussions in the chat below, and let us know your thoughts about each and every episode that we cover. Yes. So, folks, with that being said, this is a spoiler review. This is BMF. This is the new show that 50 Cent has been talking about. We have had a chance to get this a little bit early, so you won't be catching us live for the folks that have been catching us live for some of our previous stuffs. So, we will be monitoring our chats weekly. And again, with that being said, we're not watching the whole series and coming back, recapping them. We're going one at a time. So this is our first time watching this first episode, and this is our first review.
One at a time.
Yes. So just so you know, this is the home where we're gonna make our conversations, our recaps, our reviews very authentic and not trying to be Mr. Know-It-Alls, but just having fun with it and breaking it down. With that being said, this is episode 1. See it, touch it, obtain it. This is the first episode of a new series, regardless of what we know about this, the source material, regardless of what we know about the cast. As we always like to do, this is a pilot episode. So what's your first opinions about this?
This is definitely a pilot episode. I am not gonna lie about it. This is a little rough. A little too rough, because the pacing was not good in this episode. Like it took, at times you wanted to stay with the characters a little longer, but you got to understand, with a pilot episode, they're like, no, we got to introduce everyone to you. And then as the season progresses, maybe we'll slow it down so you get to know these characters more. But here, it was just a flood of characters. Yeah. Like, clearly, the brothers that everyone knows, Big Meech, Southwest T. Those are the characters that most people do know. But then the other ones sprinkled in, the sister that not too many people possibly know, the parents that not too many people possibly know, Pat, most people don't actually know. Like, it was all those other characters that they had to give introductions to. And because they did, and because they decided to do a couple of time jumps, it throws you off at times. Because at first I was like, wait a minute, why are they kids now? And then, wait, man, they only was kids for a minute. Why are they teenagers all of a sudden? Yeah, like, it was a lot of moving. But again, that happens in pilot episodes, so it wasn't unexpected.
Yeah, and I think it's fine for this pilot episode to be the way it was, because I think 50 Cent is a master marketer. And with him hyping us to be better than Power, and I will say this, folks, we are not going to make many, if possible, none Power references here.
I'm not making any Power references on this show. I mean, no, because in all honesty, for anybody out there who are thinking that this is going to be anything like Power, you got to keep in mind, one, the same creative crew behind Power is not behind this show. Do not be fooled by seeing 50 Cent's name on here and thinking it's the same crew. It is not. Yeah. Courtney and her crew are not behind this show, and you can feel that they're not behind the show. Kind of like the way you felt it with For Life when 50 did that. Like, it wasn't the same crew. Yeah. So to me, there's no need to compare to Power. Yeah. The show that this is going to be compared the most to is Snowfall.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's around that. It's a story about a legendary person, and people know who Snowfall is really about. I don't gotta say it. It's not a made-up character. We know who Snowfall's about. And then you get this one, and we know who these gentlemen are. So that's going to be the comparison. Is going to be Snowfall. I think that's the measuring stick for this show, and that's a heck of a measuring stick.
Yeah. And again, like, you know, to my point, I mean, 50 is going to market however he can. So he will try to bring the Power crew into this. And even if you know, don't know no better, once Power is off, then this is up next. So like you progressively just move into it. And I think that for folks that like Power, what Power represents and that style of drama and you know, with drugs and all that other stuff, then it's going to be a transition that it won't be flawless, but you shouldn't have problems getting on track. But I think that again, from this first episode, I think that you'll be satisfied. Just don't go in here thinking that you're getting ready to get Power 2.0, 3.0, or any of that sorts. It's not that at all. And yes, to be honest, take 50 out of it too. It also doesn't feel like, oh, this is just another Starz show. I feel like this show probably could have been on any network and it would have just been that, because from my first initial feeling to it, it definitely gives you premium television product because of the sex scenes, obviously. But the drama and how they're kind of playing out in some of the stuffs and some of the events here, you know, I could have woke up and be like, this could have been HBO. This could have been Showtime. It could have been, you know, Cinemax.
You going high. I would have said it could have been BET.
Yeah, well, BET, for sure.
This feels, right now,
I mean, BET
first episode.
Not premium, but yeah.
Like BET Plus. It feels, and if BET Plus does more with nudity than anyone else, because I've seen some wild stuff on BET Plus. But like, it feels like that type of show. Yeah. It feels like a show with Starz was like, okay, we want to do this. We're going to not give a huge budget, but we need to see how the show progresses. Yeah. And in this pilot episode, again, and I'm trying not to be harsh because it's a pilot episode and people shouldn't be harsh. It's a pilot episode. So yes, it's going to feel scattered at times. And some of the lines are going to be delivered in a rough way, but that's fine. Because it's supposed to get better.
And then, exactly. And let me jump in there. And also, this is typically, I'm not sure how premium television do it, but most most people who are pitching the show, this is the episode that they decide if it's going to be picked up or not, if they're going to order it an entire season. So sometimes it could be really good. Sometimes it could be promising. And, you know, P-Valley is a prime example of something we'll both, you know, smack our heads on the keyboard and saying like, that first episode was not good.
Horrible. That first episode was horrible.
And P-Valley may be their best show.
Yeah. This was in line with P-Valley's first episode. Like, you know, I didn't enjoy this episode that much, but I didn't enjoy P-Valley's first episode. But I understood the setups that both shows had to do to progress you to the next episode, and that's the most important part of it.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. So, you know, nonetheless, regardless, folks, you know, that's just us wearing our credit tax here. We're going to be covering all of the episodes. We don't do that often here. I know. Do that often. So let's have some fun now. So you did bring up characters that people know, but let's talk about the characters that people don't know, because they are actually characters that are manifested of a mixture of other characters that they're portraying, or just straight up, you know, new characters within the story.
Yes, you got to do it. You got to dramatize certain things.
Oh, for sure. So you got you have B. Mickey, who's played by let me get his name really quick. I forgot it quick. I'll come back to him. But you also got Kato, and then two of them part of the 50 Boys. I think they're gonna be really pivotal characters here, especially B. Mickey, because it is key to know in this episode when everybody was asked to step off, except for her, he also still stayed. And with the brothers and the dynamic between the brothers of being brothers, he was almost the third brother that was there. That was just like, are y'all gonna stop doing that? Or are we going to handle this? And as you've seen later in the episode, when it was time to cook up in the house, in their parents' house. I mean, you know, after they just got kicked out for the gun, they decided to go back in the house and cook it up. He was there. So I think he's an interesting character, because this character may have the most creative control, because it's a strong character in a position of being the third brother. that doesn't exist.
I definitely thought his name was going to be something else. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but
you got a name drop because everybody's going to come. They're already coming for you. Also, I gotta tell you,
it would be what's the guy's name? The second in command, J-Bo. That's who I kind of thought this character is or would have been. I thought that's who it was at first, and then when they said his name, I said, "Oh, okay. So, are we doing a composite, or are we like just playing around with it a little bit?" Which is dope to do it that way, because again, some people you don't need a name, because if you're gonna show certain things, it may be a dramatization, but you know how people get.
Yeah. And I think too. Oh, by the way, I just want you to know, like, you do have like a good fan base of folks that got your back. So like, you don't have fed friends. So like, I didn't see a comment in one of our previous reviews that said Lucas is exposing his life before doing reviews, but it's okay. We know you all learned it from Snowfall.
Hey man, we learn everything from Snowfall. We read. That's how we know. We don't know about these lies without reading. We read about these lives. That's how we know about these people.
Yeah, and by the way, Miles Truitt, who you may have seen in the New Edition series. So
I did not see the New Edition series.
Well, okay.
Hey, I may love New Edition, but I wasn't watching that. No. And unless they had Bobby Brown cooking a turkey with crack, which he did, I wasn't interested in seeing it.
And then Kato's played by Jonah Alexis, who's also has a career that's also, and this is why I think the two of them being together is paired really well, because the two of their careers are trajectorying up in the same direction. And I think these are one of the shows. It's going to show some versatility, and I think that by trying to get a feel for what the show is going to be, we, like you said, we know our main characters with the brothers. We know Pat's going to be a player. We also know that the cop is also going to be a player as well too, who is a composite of two characters as well too, which is super interesting. So I think that I'm loving the casting, and I am intrigued about what happens, and I think that's just enough for us to get to get invested going forward. And by the way, the cop is played by Steve Harris, who's the brother of Wood Harris, which the last time the two of them have actually even been on a project together was Justified. So pretty cool. And I think they're well respected within their careers. And I think it's got to be fun to see two brothers being on the same show and being two very also game-changing characters, if you ask. I mean, being a Detective Bryant and being able to aid Meech and them. And then you have Pat, the OG, who's also the ones that talk to So, and again, regardless how whatever you think about the characters, when you got two brothers, ones who know each other best, if they share scenes together, that could be interesting. So, and then Da Vinci, who plays T, I think the brother feeling between him. I can't believe we haven't even named this yet, just in case. If anybody don't know by now, but I guess we have to cover this because this is our first episode. But Meech is actually Meech Jr. in real life, so that you know that he's playing his father. This is his first role. And
you can tell.
Yeah. And I'm not,
boy.
I'm not mad at it at all, because I don't think he's wearing shoes he can't feel.
Well, here's the thing.
And for his first role, in a role that he has got to have 4 to 5 people in his head. Mom, dad, Starz, 50, everybody. It's a big role for something that you can say, well, he lived, or he's been a part, or he's known his whole life. Sure, he still has to do the job. And I think that I think there's no other person that should have did this role, but it's going to be super interesting. Why not? It's going to be super interesting to evaluate his career in about 4 to 5 years to see where did he go from this. I'm not mad at mad at him in this pilot episode at all, because I think that much like the series, there's a lot of room to grow. And this is the first episode. And again, for me, from my experience of knowing how things are filmed, the first episode is the pilot episode is done, and then they have to pitch it before you even go back to do the rest. So, we may see a drastic change or feel going from the first episode to the second. But overall, I mean, I'm not mad at the cast at all. I'm not mad at the cast. I'm not mad at the story. I won't let P Valley happen again. That's what I'm getting at.
See, but I would say he was my biggest issue with this episode. And it's because I can tell when you're not putting someone in the best position when they're a young actor.
For sure.
You can clearly see it, because they had him deliver certain lines that you kind of need experience to deliver and make it realistic. And when you don't do that, they come across and they can be delivered and sound silly. And again, that's not on him. That's just, I guess, again, it could be the sense that these lines had to be delivered, and then they had, like, come on, because this is spoiler talk. We could talk about the whole scene by the river. And I was like, oh, the delivery between them two wasn't the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they interacted better when they were in the bedroom with one another. But still, it comes across at times as he's not allowed to be naturally him. Someone is telling him, this is the way you're supposed to do it. But when it's a difference between being an actor and someone who's lived a certain life, so you know the person. So when you got to blend those together, it could cause a problem with him having to be his father. Because let's be real here, you're not going to go into extreme detail about things. You can't. And you're going to need to over dramatize things. And if you don't have an experienced person doing it, you run the risk of it not coming across or nailing it well. So they just got to be careful about the positions they put him in future episodes.
I think what you're saying, I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. I just think that, this is where something that I'm sure he's his own worst critic here. I got room to grow. I got to do this better. And I do think that there were scenes where him and his brother worked really well. I think the scene when they were at the game or backstage of the game where they met up with the other crew and they was talking about what's happening. I also think that it should be allowed to understand that while he is a leader of a crew, that he's just not just another leader of a crew. And we've seen certain leaders, you can go back to, talking about power. You can talk about how Neek comes across. And you can say, well, Neek seems more serious, more thorough, more menacing.
But that's somebody that's the difference between someone who's established and someone who's starting.
Right. And that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Again, and I will never compare it to anything in power. I'm always going to go to this other show to compare it to. You can tell the difference from the way Franklin started out, and even in the pilot episode of Snowfall, versus the way they progressed this character so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you see certain parallels between them two. Like, they don't know how to be leaders yet. Yeah. They just know, I want to lead. I want to do this. So to me, that's the character. If you're going to compare it to that. Yeah. Don't go to that other universe that 50 Cent is also involved in, because that's what I would refer to it. Moving forward is that other universe. Just not going to bring it up because it's unfair to compare this to that.
Yeah. Okay, so talked about the characters. Talked about just our reaction to it being a pilot episode. Let's kind of go into the events of what happened in this episode. And I think for conversational purposes, let's talk about the end. T being shot 2 days after.
It's a big part too in history of that happening.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go about it. first of all, too, also do want to kind of premise this. Every episode in the beginning, I expect us to be able to. I expect them to give that, that notation of there's a lot of this that is true or whatever.
Don't worry about it. You see that whole part inspired.
Yeah, this one,
or based on.
Just want to make sure
you are not. Don't you try to watch this and say, "Oh, that's what really happened." You'll never know. That's not the goal of this.
Or the complete opposite. Don't come in here saying that's not really happened, because that's what they're addressing. But yeah, let's talk about this. T being shot. 2 days after bringing the baby home. This is, as we hear narrated, Meech's one regret. Where do we expect to see this go forward in regards to, and because when you look at what Meech went through in this episode, I think I wouldn't say a lot of regret, but maybe a lot of soul searching, because every moment he's being checked or he's being questioned. When he wanted to approach Pat at the party, which I agree with T, this is not the place to do it. He was brought it up when the position he had with his father, and he swung at his dad and he got L'd out. Now that was funny. That was the best scene this entire episode. Like, you just don't.
That was taking an unnecessary risk. Yeah, that was a high risk, low reward move there.
But I think it did a lot of soul searching this episode, and rather you kind of project, because it foreshadowed something was coming by how the camera angle was set up when he was going out to the car and whatnot. But where do you think Meech's guilt lies now after this? Like, where do you think his mental goes beyond this?
We're gonna focus strictly on the show. Yes. We're gonna act like we know nothing about the history of what happens after this.
Yes. Otherwise, what we said 10 minutes ago doesn't even exist.
We're just gonna focus on the show. Based off of the show and the way they build this character up, that's one thing they did really good here, because you want to build the eternal conflict between what he should do or his perception of what I need to do for survival versus his upbringing. Because that's the struggle with Meech, is that, he technically came from a good family. He came from standards. And he's bucked that because he feels like, I can't live this way. I can't just do a regular job. I need to do something to get my family out of this situation. So when you see this happen with his brother, it comes across as the character feeling responsible for it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what the voiceover really lays out, is that he feels responsible for this happening, because it goes back to that conversation he had with his mom in the room when he came back to get some clothes. And she said, you need to look out for him because he's like a sponge. He's soaking up everything from you. So for her to say that, and then for this to happen, it's a horrible foreshadowing for him. And you got to wonder, now, are we going to see this character protect his brother more to not put him out there as much?
Yeah.
And how does that affect his brother? And we're saying it's all, unfortunately, like we all know he didn't die. Okay. So if you didn't know, my bad. Look it up. He ain't dead.
Sir, the show.
Well, no, that's an important thing to say, just because we're talking like what happens next with his brother. So as we're talking next about what happens with his brother, we're saying it because his brother is going to live through this. So you got to wonder.
Or if you don't know, then you're like, I mean, because, you got to wait a week for the next episode.
No. Here's the weird part. Here's the Nigeria. Literally, they pitched the show as two brothers starting all of this up. He's living through this.
Man, I'm trying. I mean,
that's not even something you can have. They clearly pitch it as two brothers, and you know who the two brothers are. So we know he lives through this, but I think as we look forward with the show, what we need to pay attention to is how is he going to treat his brother after this? Because if he feels personally responsible, which I think he is going to, that means he's going to overly protect him.
Yeah, and let's not forget, it's important to know that the two of them, they're brothers, and I think they're playing the brother thing really good because they don't agree on anything, but they damn sure got each other's back. When they went to the meeting and T had the gun, and Meech kind of, he was basically like, he conceded. He was like, look, y'all can have the blocks. And then, he was very confident and strong in that, where T was kind of like, bro, what are you doing? Like, that's not how we roll. You know what I mean? How are we going to have a reputation, going back to the next conversation, how are we going to have a reputation of selling 50 bags if we're allowing this to happen? And I think that's where this gets interesting as well, too, because not only do I agree with you saying he's going to feel more responsible, but also feel like now he's going to be a little more lenient on, like, you know what, T's right, or T doesn't want to come. Okay, cool. Oh, T needs to do something for his baby. That's cool. He doesn't need to be here. No rush. I mean, even the whole sense of you need to be here, but don't speed is a very interesting, aspect of how to look at how they treat each other.
But then how do you think that will play out? Because at that point, you're pushing T to the background. It's clear T does not like that. He told him that. Like, hey, you're making decisions, not coming to me about them.
Yes. Now this is where I can't wait to watch the next episode, because this is true. How long is T on the shelf now? You have B Mickey, who's right there. Now the question is, do we retaliate? Because there's a sense of who it is, just like, dude from the classroom rolled up to him at the party. It's got to be your easy person. Or could it possibly be, crazy nutshell Lamar?
Yeah.
Who
I ain't gonna
also
lie. That's if I have to pick somebody right now, I don't think one of the kids in the class would be that stupid. But clearly Lamar is still jealous of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So
but there's no telling because the dude in class was a knucklehead. So
right. And the thing is, it's gonna be one of those, like, cause Meech is more of a, I'm not messing up anything that messes up the money. Do I go to war for this? Or do I just let this slide and we just, figure it out when we figure it out? I don't think this is a certainty. And I know everybody's thinking like, oh, he's definitely going to ride for his brother. Well, will he? Because you just don't know.
Is it necessary to? That's what it comes across as. So far in the first episode, and I know we're giving y'all a lot for a first episode here, but for a first episode, Meech doesn't come across as the shoot it out at the end type of guy.
Not at all.
Not him.
And that's my point. There's at least 3 examples this episode where he's not that person. Remember, he let Kato. Terry said, not even a slap on the wrist. Number 1, when he gave up the blocks in the beginning of the episode. Number 2,
he did admit that Kato was right. He told him, not slapping the wrist. You're not in the handshake. Like, she's right. Like, this is what needs to be done. Here's the thing. T literally is the one who's
the younger brother. Yeah.
He's the hothead.
Yeah.
So maybe Meech ain't gonna have to ride because he just gonna do it himself.
Yeah, and then again, for all we know, we just don't know what type of person B Mickey is, And he's the character that has the most creative control right now because they can make this story whatever they want it to be with him.
Maybe Kato come out. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And I will say this from what I know. She is a girl in the 50 Boys. You have to start to question things now here. She definitely is respected amongst the crew. She definitely speaks when she wants to speak. She definitely doesn't always, as you can see, she doesn't agree with how certain things are.
Mm-hmm.
It seems smooth right now, like she fell in line. That could be very problematic going forward. Yep. Not to mention, I'll throw another wild card in here. Don't forget, it was a very subtle response as to like, yeah, well, I can't help but to want to make Pat more richer. But they're ready for more product to come right now. Mm-hmm. And Pat is like, and you have to think now, you have the OG who's at the top of the total. You have the young, hungry bulls who wants to make more money and do it as fast as they can. And then you have semi-turmoil within their own crew where people's just like, well, I don't agree with your metric either. this a lot to be made here. So
and before y'all, and I'm gonna say y'all, our audience who watch us do this, before y'all go spitting truths, yes, we know things. No, we're not. We're just portraying it as the show. Don't you go off in those comments about, man, look, because y'all already knows, blah, 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 and you just giving out all the history of everything.
Exactly.
That's what we know that. We are talking only from a show perspective.
Show,
we're gonna have to say this every week. We're
I know.
only talking from a show perspective of what's gonna happen here.
Yeah, just by the way, folks, let me use that hand. We're right there. You see where it says an American crime family inspired by true legends, not true events. And in the beginning of the episode, also said, so just understand that. And this is what I want to kind of say, and then we'll wrap up so we can jump over to our second review. Is that the family's involved here, so they're telling the story they want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, Meech lived his life. And I'm sure he doesn't. I mean, there's other stuff out there, obviously, and he's been interviewed a billion different times.
Mm-hmm.
But he was approached the idea of saying, "We want to pitch a show, and we want to give you and your family the keys to the vehicle." Cool. And at the same time, this creates more wealth for the family. We know that they're about their money, and I think that this has to be fun to them to be like, you know what, I do want to tell a story loosely about my life. Get my son involved
very loosely.
Yeah, super loosely. Yeah, so I mean, obviously nothing can be done at this point, but like I think this will be a fun adventure for them, or has been a fun adventure for them, and we'll see how us as the viewers and fans, how we take to it. So for me, for this episode and for the series, I think that we were super authentic here. We didn't come off by trying to fanboy or put over the show or Starz or anything.
I couldn't have. I literally said I didn't like the lead character. I don't think I can't be a fanboy if I say that. But again, we expected this though.
Yeah.
We know this at this point. It's a pilot episode.
Yeah.
I have not seen a single pilot episode I liked. I hated Snowfall's pilot episode. I hated P. Valley's pilot. Well, Power. I like Power's pilot episode.
Oh yeah, Power's just good.
That was a pilot of Empire. That's it.
I don't remember Empire, but yeah, I definitely remember Power. I was like,
those two episodes really like set up. And we only talk about black shows here, people. It's plenty other shows that got pilot episodes that are good. I'm trying to give y'all the vein of these, just to give you a comparison to play it off of, just in case you see this first episode and you'd be like, nah, trust me. Maybe the second episode would be better.
Also, because everybody always say we should cover this, and I know it's my fault that we haven't, but Forrest Whitaker's show definitely
because I wanted to cover it. I freaking love Godfather of Harlem. There's not a bad episode on Godfather of Harlem.
All right, folks. So look, we gave you a lot on this episode. We'll be back for our episode next week, episode 2, Rumors. And we'll see where the story takes us. We gave a little bit of our outline, a little bit of our thoughts about the series and it being a pilot. But next week we'll be back strictly talking about the episodes, the events of the episodes, and we'll get through all 8 episodes. Is it 8? I forget. Yes, 8. Yeah, we'll get through all 8. So stick with us. Jump in the comments each week, folks. Let us know your thoughts about it, and we'll see you each and every following week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.